out there. I am your host, Jessica Koch, and we are back. This is Profound Professionals. We are the interview series that has been coming to you for 9 years now. We bring you industry experts from all over this beautiful world. They help improve your personal life and they can help you grow your business. Today, we have a beautiful, energetic, glorious Andrea is with us. Andrea has a passion for bringing love. And isn't love, joy, and gratitude those highest of all frequencies back into your business? And when you bring it back into your business, you bring it back into your life. How many hours do we spend in our work versus with our family? And so you want to have love and joy and gratitude. You get to do the things you do today. You don't have to, you don't should, you don't could. You get the opportunity to do this. And one of the other beautiful things I love about Andrea's intro sentence is she is about the expansion of consciousness. And I'm going to say, she says on the planet, but I'm going to say throughout our universe, right? Beyond the stars. We are so connected and aligned with the stars and the planets beyond the universes that we can see. And our energy is so strong. I learned today in my book club that our heartbeat can affect uh, uh, the energy of our heartbeat can affect a mode little detector in a glass of water far from us, as far as 5 feet. And I have to tell you farther than that, because when you have that thought and that person calls you or texts you and you send out that emotion and something comes back to you based on what you desired. I once manifested a pair of overalls. I know, laugh if you want. True story. And so I just want to welcome a guest like Andrea, who is going to bring us love and expansion. So welcome, Andrea.
Thanks for having me. Really grateful. Love how you brought that in, introduced it into the room. Past the planet. We're
Yeah.
right on there, sister.
Yeah. Oh, the planet is so limited. There's so much more, so much more. You know, that bigness that we're connected to. It's fascinating how excited our world is with Google and searching and the World Wide Web and Chat GPT and AI and all these things when we've actually had access to that far before it existed, right? So if we just tap in and meditate on a thought, a challenge, a goal, we can access the minds, the brilliance of the past, the present, and the future. That's how some of the greatest technology, far beyond its time, was ever invented. Those people were able to soak in that and open themselves to the creativity and the receiving of the brilliance beyond themselves and beyond even their current time. I love the kind of things that you're sharing about, and I can't wait to hear your journey.
Wow, that's absolutely amazing. Um, this is going to be far more robust than I was even thinking. So I'm in if you're in.
I'm if you're in, and you out there watching, participate, share with us, give us your thoughts on energy and love and how that affects business and the universe, and most importantly, the legacy. That's why business matters at all. Any of the things that we do, we should be thinking about how will this be here long after I'm not, right? Putting our
Love it.
stamp into the space where we can affect, in fact, inspire and encourage long after we're no longer hanging out in these physical bodies that we're in right at the moment. So, Andrea, tell me, how did this become your journey and story?
Yeah, you invited that right in. So let's dive quick, hard, and deep.
Mhm.
So I am a former recovering tax accountant. Um,
Harsh.
yes,
We came from love, joy, and
that's why I
gratitude.
said, like, how could that possibly be the discussion today, right? But I can bring that in real hard and quick.
Well,
Um,
I say one of the things actually just today, this morning and in my meditation, that I was thinking about having the opportunity to pay $150,000 in taxes. And I thought, wouldn't it be better if I was paying 150 million in taxes, right? Because there's so many gifts or you receive when you get to pay and support the community with those kinds of dollars and that money energy that's out there.
That's funny. I've always felt that. That was the biggest thing when I was a tax accountant,
Mhm,
right? Is to get people super comfortable. If you're
mhm,
paying taxes, you're making money. Why is
mhm.
that a bad thing?
Now, hence, I still believe we should pay them appropriately and not more than we should. So, I love having someone smart on my side who really understands. There's value to understanding the rules and navigation and strategy. I love playing card games and board games and things that, especially like Rummy Cue, is one of my favorites because it is very strategic and it's about following all the rules and supporting what's on the table. So I still want to support my community and my society, the world, but it's about doing it strategic so that you have access
Mm,
to so many more resources to do so much more good with, So some, yes, distributed to taxes, but others distributed in other ways. So I do love knowing what the strategy and the rules are so I can be distributing my funds that I'm bringing in for my family and for my legacy appropriately. So I hope you have some of that wisdom for us too.
Well, yeah, no, that's the perfect segue. Because how do you go right from a former tax accountant to somebody who is super excited about bringing love into business? And
Mhm,
you brought that perfectly in because I'm not suggesting that I'm anti government. Let's just
mhm,
go there. That's not what
mhm,
this is about. But the
mhm,
whole point of what I'm sharing with the world is to start thinking. And I don't mean literally linear thinking, but energetically, metaphysically, consciously thinking about how we can begin to do business differently.
mhm,
Because most traditional business paradigms are still based on profit systems or scarcity, if you're looking in other arenas, where energetically we're not actually nurturing our organizations from a more expanded love based consciousness perspective. And
mhm,
that absolutely includes where does the monetary aspect of what we're creating go? Because we can
mhm,
often separate this is my business and this is me, and they're
mhm,
separate and they're not.
mhm,
Right? They are a rhythm, they are love, and they too want to be operated from that space. So
mhm,
that's really how I got here, in a short nutshell, was trying to reconcile, like, how do we, love's never been something that has ever left me, but
mhm,
how do we reconcile business and love? And why does that matter to the future? Because you talked about, bringing ideas into the
mhm,
planet. And there's often still templated from this place of fear or greed or scarcity when we
mhm,
don't recognize that the ideas we're given are gifts to
mhm,
enjoy our lives and enrich those that we touch. And so how do
mhm.
we bring that richness and not shut down our creations any longer?
And you use the word reconcile, and I'll have to tell you, I feel like it's more of an entwinement. There is this entanglement of love and business, and really, business should, in my opinion, be blooming from the passion of your essence. And you talked about bringing those creative ideas in for yourselves, but I think the one of the manifestation of why business exists is so that when those ideas come in, when you get to this space where you're able to receive that aha moment that the community and society needs, it is our obligation to share it out with the world. So when we are able to manifest, we have to pull it in, we entwine it in ourselves with love and gratitude helps us push it out in the world. So there are certain kinds of flowers and bulbs that when you plant them, more will be there the year later than daffodils and crocus and iris are like this, where they begin to multiply themselves based on the beauty of one being planted, right? And I think that that's what also we're talking about here is this really wonderful obligation to take the light out from under a basket and the bushel, and to keep it bright and shining so everyone can see it.
Yeah, I think I'd be curious to know what you mean, if you're up for it, around the use of the word obligation. Like, why do you feel that?
I feel that because I think one of my most profound moments with myself was I was with a girlfriend, and I was in a place of scarcity still, and I was frustrated. I was selling radio advertising, and she was also selling radio advertising for the competing radio station, and we were best of friends, and we were having lunch, and we're also very spiritual and prayerful, and I was saying, and I have 7 children, but at the time I had 6, and I said, they need this and this and this, and I was making, I don't know, 20 or 30,000 pathetically of revenue, with, salary and commission and things, at this radio station. And and she said, "Well, why aren't you doing more than that?" And I said, "Well, the whole camel and the eye of a needle, and the thing with it's not so good if you have money, and maybe money is bad, and if you're wealthy, you're not as good of a human as maybe you're supposed to be." Or I didn't know what it was. It was all muddled and muddy, and I'm not
Gotcha.
unsure and unclear. And she said, "Shame on you. You have this gift, this and she literally said, "Shame on you." And I absorbed that shame and I probably shouldn't have, and I'm a little healthier of space now, well, away. But
I get that.
but I absorbed it in a way that propelled me to shed it. And she said, "I have this ability to help these family-owned businesses get excited about their business again, fall back in love with what they were doing, and then shout it out to our community and the world using this tool of radio, the radio waves. Through the air, I was able to make their lives better. Why wasn't I absolutely capturing the fullness of that and my gift to do it?" And the very next year, same territory, same radio station, same customers. I well over 100,000. I approached 150,000, and it was all about this.
Mm.
Oh, I'm not here just for me. And I see obligation too, because recently I've received, I've drawn to me with just the desire and their quest and curiosity, these amazing people who are doing innovative things with investing in money, and really using it as a tool that, again, it can multiply itself like these flower bulbs, right? And so I'm learning from them, and so many are coming to me. I'm like, "Oh, I didn't know that existed. Oh, I didn't know you could do that. This is so fascinating and interesting, and these people are so brilliant." And so I've had this a little bit of a weight on my heart, even to pull it all together in some format, in a summit, in an event, or in a book, or in a resource, or just a directory, or a place people can, "Oh, are you curious about that? Oh, great, here's all these amazing humans." Because I feel like they didn't all just come to me just for me. It wasn't just my gift. Just because I open myself to receive it doesn't mean I shouldn't make a way that others who are looking for it couldn't get it at a 10x pace, right? Because I can say, "Oh, well, here's the 100 people I met in this space. Go through, and then whoever calls out to you, that name, that face, that description next to them, even if it's just a directory, and set some time with them, and feel like what their energy feels like, and learn about what it is that they're sharing, and see what sits with you, see what works for you." And how lovely if someone could have just handed me that, although I've enjoyed the experience of the having the windows open and seeing what flies in, the beautiful birds that are coming my way, and giving me these amazing gifts of knowledge, and helping me with this space that I'm working in my life right now.
Thank
So
you
that's
for
what I
that.
meant by obligation.
Yeah.
I feel like I talked way too much.
Not at all, because what you brought out, which is to me the core foundation, I wouldn't use the word obligation, but you still brought it in. Thank you.
Mm,
Was the obligation to be ourselves.
mm,
And I use the word self love, but however you want to phrase that, that's really what you brought into the room is
mm,
we have an obligation to be ourselves and
mm,
create from that point of passion. And that's why we choose to become human, is
mhm.
so we can do that.
Yeah.
And so there was this point in your life you brought out, and I've had the same,
Mm,
where people literally say to you in whatever way, why aren't you actually just being you? And
mm.
then the money flowed with it because
Yeah.
you were more in the essence of who you are. It
Yes.
wasn't you were driving for the money, you were driving for love or to be yourself or passion, and the money followed.
Yeah.
That's amazing. Thank you.
Yeah, it made it thrilling. It made it it was addicting. I really loved doing radio advertising sales. I didn't understand why everyone didn't do sales. I thought how silly would you I would never take a salary ever again from that point on in my life. I always needed, well, not just a salary. I wouldn't say that I wouldn't take a salary. I would, but it wouldn't be enough. Like I had to have the ability to, based on my efforts and my energy and um, my momentum, to be able to also have my revenue match that when working for someone else. I needed that because I just felt like it was completely unfair otherwise. Because I just know how much of me I give. So people who were just for a salary, no criticism to you whatever, but for me, it just wasn't possible. And I do love that you said, because I use the word obligation, but I think that because I was feeling it, like I was moved by my internal to do these things. And I think that was by doing those things, and because of my core values and my beliefs, that I'm propelled with a desire to do those things, um, and share with others and not keep everything that comes to me to myself. So I think that's really super important to me.
No, that makes total sense to me because you brought in like one really core aspect, when I'm talking about doing love in business is, I think we even started this at the beginning is, what if we were paying $150 million in
Mhm,
taxes? And
mhm,
one of the core questions that I ask people when they're beginning or in the throes of recreating their organizations or their nonprofits or business, it doesn't really matter to me what language you use, is what would they do, right, with all those the riches.
mhm,
And when I ask that question often with people, and it's a very key element, um, one of the things that I talk about is bringing in this generosity energy, this pay
mhm,
it forward energy,
mhm,
rather than imagining. And I'm not saying don't do this, okay, but imagining all the real estate you could buy and the houses and how you could take high flying trips. Now, again, I'm not saying don't enjoy the richness of your life, but what's
mhm,
often missing when we start to create businesses and organizations is what would I do
mhm,
with all that abundance? Am I going to sock it away for a rainy day? Or am I going to allow the universe or the cosmos to work with me and move that energy to where it needs to go?
mhm,
And that's a different question I find that most people so far, I'll let you know, aren't completely addressing within themselves. And that intention matters
mhm.
when you're creating a business. From my perspective, from love, is to really be aware of that energy and ask it, where does it want to go?
Well, I think it also affects the abundance and the attraction of the resources coming to you, because there's something exciting when we're really just a conduit for those resources. And I think it's that and this and that, not either or, right? It's we don't have to give it every dime away, and we don't have to, build a house made of diamonds either, and spend it all on ourselves, right? So I think it's a little of both.
Agree.
But there is the whole when you go out and then and say, and some of these resources are allocated for the continuing education of my team and their family and the benefits of their family, and profit sharing happens with your team, and all of these other things that you want to do from the I'm a big believer in causes and charities. I incorporated from day one in our show process, but I'm also more
Mhm.
excited about helping them be independent. So having them plant bulbs that multiply themselves
Yep.
versus having to, you know, do the gala and do the run over and over and over again. Let's do something big, plant something big that continues to passively rejuvenate itself. So the focus is on the cause and not the energy of always trying to find the acorns to support it. So those kinds of things excite me. Finding ways that money can passively renew itself in all aspects, whether it's for a cause, whether it's for my family's
Yep.
generational wealth or the community, whatever you're doing. For me, that's the big push of what
Wow.
what am I going to do with those dollars? I'm going to make sure I'm planting them in ways that multiply themselves, and helping the causes I care do the same, versus just a lump of money that's just going to evaporate once it's gone.
Agree. Agree. I pulled some fascinating studies when I was writing my paper, showing the mass amount of abundance and wealth
Much money.
that has been created in the last
Mm-hmm.
even 2 generations.
Mm-hmm.
And part of my curiosity, without judgment, right, is what happens when we release those resources.
Mm-hmm.
And so there was a questioning in me about, are we storing still like squirrels, right?
Mm-hmm.
Right? Which happens, I get it.
Mm-hmm.
Or are we actually following a rhythm of retaining assets when we feel consciously called to do that? Or are we
Mm-hmm.
doing it from still that fear, scarcity, and lack consciousness? So that's part
Mm-hmm.
of the conversation or the calling that needs, I feel, to start happening,
Mm-hmm.
because there is still this mentality I'm witnessing that we need to continue to build assets. And the question is, at what point do we, it's energy, let that energy go to where it needs to go to keep that rhythm, just the way you're talking about moving, so that the daffodils and the crocuses and the irises can build, right? Hence
Mm-hmm.
creating a win-win for everyone.
Yeah, that's why I think I'm partly so fascinated with kinetic energy and kinetic art. The pieces that have this flow of consistent, constant movement because of how it was engineered and designed. And that's the exciting thing that we have this possibility for. We have this opportunity for, and I think not enough of us are focusing on that. One of the other exciting and fascinating things that I have been researching recently, I'm writing some historical fiction novels, a series of 7, and I've been studying the millionaires from the 1900s in New York, as people came over on the boat, and the different things that spurred the millionaire movement that happened there, and the fall of those families, and what the progression was and why it happened, and reading information on their families and their legacy and how they got it to begin with. And then I also, when you were talking, started to think about, I love the show Downton Abbey. And one of the things that occurred in that time frame, as the world shifted from the wealthy and then the people who worked the land or had the village and made the village run, that in a sense they were symbiotic, right? But what happened was so many of them had to suddenly pull their own weight, where they were just sitting on so much that they were just letting it run out and just run out and run out. And they had to really begin to, the ones that survived and made it were the ones that began to really form a partnership with their community and share the revenue and become more innovative thinkers of how to renew their resources versus just, well, we're out of money, we need to pay the taxes, sell off this part of the land. Well, then that's gone. It's paid one time, it's gone forever, and no one benefits from that. And so, well, you pay the taxes, so the government, but and we're not anti-government. That's all good. Taxes have to be paid.
That. Yep.
But we could be paying them another way by leveraging the land and its resources in a way that renewed the revenue, so that you could easily pay the taxes and still maintain the land for both the community, the village, and the family. It's not that I'm like pro super wealthy and not. I just I found that historic time period and what they went through in that transition fascinating, and really a place for us to learn.
Agree.
So
Oh, completely. Completely. When I was doing my own exploration, right, what I became more heightenedly aware of is sort of like a divisional energy or separation, right, between government, nonprofits, and business. And so when I'm talking about and expressing doing business from love, I'm talking about starting to erode the separation that has been created in the institutions that we've created based on history. So I see this as a precipice or an opportunity to start eroding some of those divisional walls. And I don't know all the answers. Let's be super clear, because I see it as a co-creative process, the way you're talking about, just to bring that greater state of awareness on where we're operating from, how we're operating, and how do we start to impact communities, influence the nonprofits, so that it becomes one rhythm in the future.
Well, and in my study, you find that some of the greatest resources for the communities, the museums, the largest libraries, some of the best hospital and medical facilities, all funded by private funding, all donated by the uber wealthy, right? Not by government, right? And I think for my world, and hopefully I'm not offending you or stepping on your toes, but I think the component you missed. So you talked about business and community and government and nonprofit. I think spiritually, when we bring that piece in, for me, it becomes this glue that can tie them all together. I know the church and state and yada yada, but essentially for me, government is the people, and we are spiritual beings of some kind, whatever it is you believe. Like I'm not putting a religion on someone or anyone, but I really think that there is this, if you think about energy, however you believe it to be, or your soul, or whatever those things, somehow you step into a spiritual component that I think is going to be the eroding factor of the walls, and the binding of bringing all of those together in a beautiful way. That saying.
Oh, 100%. I mean, the whole purpose in the end of what I'm sharing and writing is remembering. My language is we are love. You could call it soul, spirit, whatever that is, embodied in the human form. And remembering that we've had thousands of years of separation, right? Of however you want to talk about church, state, whatever that is. But remembering the love that we are and the expression of that, so we can start to erode, whatever that is. So 100%, we're all spirit in some form, in a human form.
I love that you said memory, because one of the things that is going in a different novel series that I'm writing is how land and water have memory, right?
100%.
They have this fluid memory. And I just read in my book club this morning about how the human heart maintains memories. They have studies that show that when someone gets a human heart transplant, there have been times where the individuals had memories that were not their own, that were from the other person that had the heart before them. How fascinating. Now, I'm not a doctor or a scientist. I'm not giving you legal, medical, or financial advice, but I am just I think we should, the other thing that we miss that allows creativity and love to really flow and open in us is wonder and curiosity and awe and amazement of what's possible and what's happening in the world. And so that's someone's story, because I didn't write or make that up, but that's someone's belief that this heart is our hearts have a memory and a brain, and our mind, our heart, and our gut. When we can get those together, I think that's when we're more in union with our soul and our spirit and the energy of the universe. We can find that clarity and alignment, and peace.
Yeah.
You know, yeah.
Yeah, I get that. That's why we would call it evolution, love
That's
evolution,
yeah.
evolving through love, bringing the pieces of separation and memory back into existence of who we really are.
And I'll tell you what, I was just thinking, how did I get there? Because I so feel there. And I think I got there between this beautiful relationship with Creator, God for me, and this healthy soaking, totally washed over and immersed in a beautiful, golden, healthy love I have with my husband for 26 years now. I have been washed and held and bathed in this consistent, healthy love. And it has allowed me to have a life and look at life in a way I never knew I could.
Yeah.
And I think that it becomes this full circle of how do we get to that place. It's the answer, coming and going, right? How do we get to that place of gratitude, love, and joy? It's by giving and receiving beautiful, healthy forms of love and joy, and choosing joy. One of the things when I was very, very young, and I had some very traumatic trials and challenges in my youth, but I remember reading in the Bible about the disciples who were in prison, and they chose joy and gratitude and love, even in their environment and situation. And it made me realize I wanted that. I made a decision in that moment, very young, that I was going to choose joy. And I have. And it's led to healing and thriving and living a beautiful and wonderful life.
Yeah. The perception of the lens, I call it, on
Yeah.
how we see the world and how uncomfortable that can be, but also how robust, depending on how we're able to shift that love
Mhm.
within ourselves.
Mm. So tell us, when business owners are you dealing with larger corporations, mid-sized, solopreneurs, a little of both? Do they come to you when they're feeling frustrated, or maybe have, lost interest, or they're looking for their exit plan? Where do you see your business owners coming to you?
What I see is those that feel that they need to change the
Mm,
way they're doing business, whether
mhm,
that's a personal element, organizationally, it will vary from person to person. I have a sense there's a bit of a calling, let's say in the next 10 years,
mm,
to align what we're creating more deeply within this resonance or
mm,
energy. And it's founded in love of self.
mhm.
So it'll vary depending on the individual and the organization as to what they feel they need. But that's the calling to see where it goes.
And How are you supporting these businesses? Is it all virtual? Is it some in person? Is it one-on-one only, or are you doing group
Yep.
sessions?
So I am hosting group sessions,
Mm,
interestingly, so that people can
mhm,
drop into the space, I call it,
mhm,
online virtually right now, once a month.
mhm,
I call it a tasting of what's possible. And
mm,
then if people feel like there's a desire to do this more deeply one on one, then that can be done virtually or in person. But
mhm,
I think it's super important for people to get a taste of
mhm,
me and the spaces I'm creating. I've called them the conscious connective,
mhm,
because I have a sense that what's also coming within those group spaces is the opportunity to co-elevate each other more consciously
mhm,
by coming together. So we're not doing this necessarily in isolation, but not coming in with boardroom agendas anymore. There's
mhm.
a vibrational sort of essence or calling in that space, so people can tune in to see if it calls them.
I agree. I think a few years ago, when the world shifted and all those things happened, that the steam engine of a train was making all the spurts and sounds and screeches and things, and now you're right in line with the energy of the momentum that will happen.
Yeah,
I think it's happening now. I think the train is moving, and I think it's going to
100%.
increase in speed over the next few years, and probably far beyond 10 years. But
Yeah.
really, between now and 10 years, there's going to be a lot of movement in your space. Now, what do you think they're coming to get? Are they coming to get clarity? Are they coming to get peace? Are they coming to get a renewed passion? Are they coming to raise the revenue in their bank accounts for their business so that they feel some validity of what they're doing? I know so many people are working in business and not feeling valid because the revenue is not matching the effort, or the transition and the wonderful service or product or thing that they're providing isn't equaling the profit.
Yeah, I think if they're coming into the space, um, it's going to be a little different in the sense that I'm asking you to come in with an open mind without
Mhm,
actually expecting. So my
mm,
group spaces are open, they're economically viable because I don't want you to come in with a certain expectation. If
mm,
what I'm calling has you jazzed in any way, what you'll get out of it typically is unexpected.
mm,
And that's probably the most important element,
mhm,
because what I'm inviting in is not leading with the mind or a certain agenda, but being able to come out with an aspect or a blind spot you may not have seen before.
mm,
Because the intention is to create that space for a good solid 2 hours in the moment, so that you have a chance with other beings in the room to reflect a blind spot that you might not be seeing. So there's a group element and a conscious that I can facilitate.
mhm.
So come in with no expectation and see what you come out with is my approach.
And how could they find you if they'd like to be part of participating in this?
Yeah, so you would just go to
Mm,
loveevolution.ca or find Andrea Leigh Austin on LinkedIn.
mhm.
And right now I'm hosting them once a month. If you're curious, just come in and see what happens.
I love that. I love that. All right, I think we've done nothing but a series of tips, but let's give a tip. Let's give
I
a
felt
tip
that
for
too.
everyone. Let's be specific. Give us something good.
You know, if the tip I would offer anyone who's running a business right now is just check
Mhm,
in with yourself and make sure that it's in alignment with
mhm,
who you are and what you're giving. If
mhm,
something's off, take action to fix it. Don't
mhm.
shove it under the shelf any longer, even if you're not sure what to do with it. Just find a step and realign her.
And know that it might not happen right away. So I know that recently I kept feeling like, okay, this isn't the thing anymore. This isn't the way anymore. This isn't the way. So I just kept opening myself up to, okay, what's the answer? What's the transition? What's the way? Where am I going? Where is this going? How are we going to evolve as a company? And constantly since I started, my company has done this and then this and then this, and then it's just all transitions. And recently I got the answer, and it feels exciting and wonderful. But you have to be open.
Yep.
You have to be open to it, and you have to keep asking and know that it's not going to come right away, and know that that shifting doesn't mean you're flighty or you're not, you know, the business. And also remember this and that. It doesn't always have to be this or that.
Yep.
Right. So I'll give you the example. So I have a virtual assistant membership program. It started the July prior to the world shifting. And I knew I was right where I was supposed to be, right where I was supposed to be, right where I was supposed to be. And then suddenly in the last, I don't know, 6 months or 7 months, I felt like something where we need to adjust some. This isn't quite, I wasn't feeling the same. I'm where I'm supposed to be. So we're keeping the virtual assistant membership program, but we are adding, and I'm educating my team on creating AI agents, and pulling into that. And I'm such a spiritual and personal relationship and human kind of a person that it's so fascinating to other people that I'm doing this. And because what I don't think people realize, and partly why I am a voice for this, and giving this gift to people, is because I believe in the next 10, 15, 20 years, our world is suddenly going to be more immersed in playing with clay in our hands and sculpting sculptures and painting and just laying by a river and writing poetry and listening to the wind, because there are so many things that AI, when set up correctly, can do for us that are necessity and needed tasks, that when set up correctly, we're going to free ourselves as a society to be so much more creative and paint and spend time with. AI is actually going to give us, I believe, more human interaction possibilities and time and space than any other thing that has come in a long while, where the Greeks and the Romans, sat around sculpting people and doing their things and making up songs and just hanging out a lot with each other, friends and family, and just absorbing and being and just being. I think that that is a gift that this tool can provide, that I think so many people are missing and not seeing. And so I suddenly feel rejuvenated and excited about, because there still is a level of human touch that's needed so that the VA still come. Because I was really tormented for a while. Oh, do I shut it down? How do I shut it down? I've got all these clients. I wouldn't want to do that to them. I'm never going to leave anyone in the lurch. What do I do here? And now all the pieces are fitting together just so much more, with so much more excitement and possibility. So,
Makes sense to me.
yeah.
Letting it evolve.
Yeah, and so paying attention, I love that you gave that tip. So just watch what's happening, see where things sit with you, listen, be patient for the answer. It doesn't always come right away, and take small baby steps and try things, and let people know that. Just as a business owner, you can be transparent. That's what I did when I started the VA agency. I was like, look, I never tried this before. I'm going to give it a shot. You want to try it out with me? And we did, and it's been wonderful for 6 years now. And now it is evolving even further. And it's exciting for the benefit of my clients now, as well as for my team, and myself, in allowing even more freedom and possibilities. So I love that you shared that. Okay, so you out there watching, thanks for hanging with us as we went along this journey of energy and love and gratitude and where are we going. with our lives anyway. You know this part of the episode. Get typing, share with us a nonprofit cause you care about. We brought this to our community and our family and our podcast in this space so that we might inspire someone to give time, treasure, or talent to a cause they never knew existed, or remember that they have a cause that they love themselves and reignite their passion for that. Just inspire someone to do something good, spread some awareness so people who really need these causes can know they exist and maybe get access to the resources. Whatever it is, put in the comments the causes you care about. Let's hit the share button so we can get the word out there for everyone. Andrea, what is a cause that's close to your heart?
Well, it's going to seem a little funny, but it's our own nonprofit. I was guided to create a nonprofit last year called the Love and Consciousness Association to help ensure that very unique vibrational tools can energetically support people who need that help. And it's been interesting because it's drawing in some very profound nonprofit organizations who could stand some support right now, not just financially, but energetically. So it's called the Love and Consciousness Association.
That's beautiful. I love that. And there are so many things that can bring that energy. I mean, I've heard people do energetic healing with tapping and rapid eye movement and sound waves, and really, and all forms of different meditations and stretching and just all kinds of things that are out there. I think it's beautiful that you've pulled together an association that not only can support individuals and communities, but also other causes in a way that will help them progress. So thank you for sharing that. All right, don't let your fingers get too rested because we need you typing again. We want to hear about, if you're an author, put it in the comments. If you have a book that inspired your personal life or helped you grow your business, put it in the comments. You never know if that book just might be, when you've hit that share button and someone rolls across this post, they find that book in the comments, that might just be the answer for them at this moment. I'm a big believer that the universe and energy sends the teacher that you need at the moment that you need it. And I've had books on I've said this before, on my shelf for years that just happened to be there. Don't know how they got there, collected it over the time. Someone gifted it to me or gave it to me. I stuck it on a bookshelf. And then years later, it was the absolute book I needed to read at the moment when I finally dusted it off and pulled it down or ran across it. I've had books show up in my library stack that I never requested, that were just the book I needed to have in my life. So that is why this segment is so very important. So Andrea, share with us a book that inspired your personal life or helped you grow your business.
That one's easy. The first book, called Sacred Commerce. I may mispronounce the authors, but Iman Sawaf and Rowan Gabriel. And Iman's recently crossed over, but Rowan's still on the planet. Amazing book. It reminds us that business is consciousness, and their message is quite deliberate.
So say the name of the book one more time.
Sacred Commerce.
Sacred Commerce. Ooh, that's a good one. I feel like that's a really, really good one. Now, you haven't written a book, but you have written a paper. Talk to us about that.
So I'm a former recovering educator, I call myself. I've always loved teaching. And several years ago, I found an organization that inspired me to write a PhD in conscious business ethics. And so I have recently completed that. It brought me great joy. And it was a 3 to 4 year journey of just reflecting. How do we run our organizations from love, both humanly, but also metaphysically, energetically? So that paper is sitting on the site. If anybody's super curious, they can find it.
I bet it was the best gift of all to yourself.
100%.
Going through that journey. Now, couldn't you take a paper that took that amount of time and that length and convert it to a book at some point?
I've thought about it, but in the moment, I've been kind of divinely inspired to do this a little differently. So I've just broken her into microcosms to make her a little more digestible. And I'm doing a combination of audio and writing to start to flush out, like a living book is the word I kept hearing. So that as the topics evolve, the awarenesses evolve, people can just listen and get nuggets themselves.
Oh, I love that. Are you doing that in like a podcast format or just an audiobook kind of format, or?
Podcast format and on my site. So I do have a podcast, Love Evolution, no surprise. And then certain microcosms will sit on the site. So a blend of my own reflections, but conversations like this with others. In fact, I had a profound one this morning.
Oh, that's good. That's good. I have so loved having you on the show today. I've had so much fun. I hope you've enjoyed it too.
Oh, completely. Feeling is mutual, hon. Thank you.
And if you're out there thinking, wait, I have things to offer the world, I could improve someone's personal life, help someone grow their business, I have things to share, and I should be featured on this show, well, reach out to us and our team, and we'll tell you just how to get going in that direction. But before we say goodbye today, I can't believe how fast the time has run with us. This is probably one of my longest and most loved episodes. And I don't want to offend anyone. I loved all my shows, but this has been, I have just, I guess, been soaking in the joy and the love that we've been experiencing as we just kind of talk about this topic. I feel it swirling around us in this warm, loving way. So thank you again so much for being on the show today. And please share with us a final thought, a piece of information or inspiration as we go. I feel like the whole show has been inspiring and infused with all the goodies of
what that could be,
high frequency energies and all the things. But give us something else as we close today.
I think what I would ask as a final thought of your listeners is to actually believe that this can be done. There's a lot of people out there that I find that have lost hope that we can actually bring more love into the world right now. And so in whatever form you can hold that resonance, people, let's do this is what I say.
I love the concept, and I'm sure I think it came from a song or something. I can't even remember which one now, but I feel like all I hear in my head is love is the answer. Not sure what the question is, and I'm pretty sure most questions this covers, but love is the answer.
Yeah. I know that one. Love is the answer. What was the question?
I don't know, but love is the answer. I love that. All right, everyone. I'm your host, Jessica Koch. This has been another Profound Professionals. And until the next one, be kind to yourself out there and be kind to each other. Bye, everybody.